The big space station of the Galactic Council hung in the darkness of space. It looked like a shiny metal flower with many petals. Each petal was a dock for spaceships from different alien worlds. The station spun slowly, making its own gravity. Inside the main meeting room, aliens from all over the galaxy sat in a circle. They looked very different from each other. Some had scales, others had fur. Some had many eyes, others had none. But they all wore fancy clothes to show they were important. At the head of the circle sat High Counselor Jay. He was tall and thin, with blue skin and large wise eyes. He spoke in a calm voice. Let us begin today's meeting. First on our list is the trade dispute between the blob people of Zeta 9 and the crystal beings of Epsilon 3. The room filled with quiet talk as the aliens discussed the problem. It was a normal day for the Galactic Council. They thought they knew everything important that was happening in space. They were wrong. Suddenly, a loud alarm rang through the room. Red lights flashed on the walls. The aliens jumped up, looking around in fear and surprise. A young alien with green fur ran into the room. He shouted, "High Counselor, a huge ship has appeared near the station." Jay stood up quickly. "What? How is that possible? Our sensors should have seen it coming from far away." The green alien shook his head. "It just appeared out of nowhere, sir. It's like it came out of thin air." Jay and the other council members hurried to the big window that looked out into space. They gasped when they saw the ship. It was enormous, bigger than any ship they had ever seen. It was shaped like a long arrow, sharp at the front and wide at the back. Its surface was dark gray, with lines of blue light running along its sides. It looked powerful and scary. "Where did it come from?" asked a short, round alien with 6 eyes. Jay turned to a screen on the wall. It showed information about the strange ship. He read it and his eyes got very wide. It's from Earth," he said in a shocked voice. The room got very quiet. Then everyone started talking at once. "Earth? But that's impossible. Humans are primitive. They can't make ships like that. It must be a mistake." Jay held up his hands for quiet. When everyone stopped talking, he spoke. "The information is correct. This ship was made by humans from the planet Earth. An alien with long tentacles for arms waved them in the air. But High Counselor, we checked on Earth just 100 years ago. They were still using simple rockets and computers. They couldn't even leave their own star system." Jay nodded. "You're right, Counselor Kim. This is very strange in wording. Somehow the humans have made a big jump in their technology, and they've done it in secret without us knowing." Another alarm sounded. A voice came from speakers in the ceiling. "High Counselor, the Earth ship is sending us a message. They want to talk to the Council right away." The aliens in the room looked at each other nervously. This had never happened before. Usually, when a new species joined the galactic community, there were years of slow, careful talks first. Jay took a deep breath. He knew this decision was very important. It could change the whole galaxy. "Put them on the big screen," he said. The window turned into a giant screen. On it appeared the face of a human. He had short black hair and serious brown eyes. He wore a dark uniform with shiny badges on the shoulders. The human spoke in a strong, clear voice. "I am Captain Sung of the Earth Battleship, Terra's Might. We have traveled far to speak with you. There are urgent matters we must discuss. The safety of the entire galaxy is at stake." The council room erupted into chaos again. Aliens shouted questions and arguments. Some were scared, others were angry. High Counselor Jay looked at the human face on the screen. He felt a mix of fear and curiosity. Whatever happened next, he knew that everything was about to change. The day that was supposed to be normal had become the most important day in galactic history, and it was only the beginning. The face of Captain Sung filled the big screen in the council room. His dark eyes looked at each alien carefully. The room was quiet now. Even the angry aliens stopped shouting. High Counselor Jay stepped forward. He tried to look calm, but his blue hands shook a little. "I am High Counselor Jia. We are surprised by your arrival, Captain Sung. How did you find us? And what do you mean about the galaxy's safety?" Captain Sung nodded. "I understand your surprise, High Counselor, but we don't have time for long explanations now. My ship needs to dock. My team and I must speak with the full council right away." Many aliens started talking at once again. Some were scared. Others were angry. A big alien with red scales stood up. "This is a trick," he shouted. "Humans can't have ships like that. They must have stolen it. We should attack them now." Other aliens agreed. They didn't trust the humans. They thought it was all a lie. But some aliens were curious. They wanted to know how humans got so strong so fast. They thought it was better to talk first. High Counselor Jay held up his hands for quiet. He looked worried. He didn't know what to do. If he let the humans dock, it might be dangerous. But if he didn't, he might miss important information. He turned to a small alien with big ears. "Counselor Lee, what do you think? You're good at telling when people lie." Counselor Lee looked at Captain Sung's face on the screen. His big ears twitched. After a minute, he said, "He's not lying, High Counselor. He really believes there's danger, but he's hiding something too. He knows more than he's saying." Jay nodded. He turned back to the screen. "Captain Sung, we need to talk about this more. Can you tell us anything about this danger now?" Captain Sung frowned. "I'm sorry, but no. It's not safe to talk about it over this channel. Anyone could be listening. We need to meet face to face." Jay sighed. He knew he had to make a choice. "Very well," he said. "We will allow one small ship from your vessel to dock. But only you and 2 others may come aboard our station, and you must not bring any weapons." Captain Sung smiled a little. "Thank you, High Counselor. We accept your terms. We'll be there in 20 minutes. The screen went dark. The council room got noisy again as everyone talked at once. Jay turned to the other aliens. "We need to get ready," he said. "Counselor Kim, please make sure our security is extra strong. Counselor Park, prepare a meeting room for us and the humans." The aliens hurried to do their jobs. Joe walked to the window and looked at the huge human ship. It was so big it blocked out the stars behind it. 20 minutes later, a small ship left the big human vessel. It looked like a silver teardrop. It moved smoothly towards the station. Jay and some other council members waited in the docking area. They were nervous. This was the first time they would meet humans face to face. The small ship landed softly. Its door opened with a quiet hiss. 3 humans walked out. Captain Sung was in front. He was tall for a human, with broad shoulders. Behind him was a woman with long black hair tied back. She carried a big bag. The 3rd human was an older man with gray hair and kind eyes. Captain Sung stepped forward and held out his hand to Jia. "Thank you for meeting with us, High Counselor," he said. Jia looked at the hand, confused. He didn't know what to do. The woman behind Captain Sung whispered something. Captain Sung quickly put his hand down. "I'm sorry," he said. "I forgot you might not know our greeting custom." Jay nodded. "It's all right. Welcome to the Galactic Council Station. Please, follow me. We have much to discuss." As they walked, aliens in the hallways stopped and stared. They had never seen humans before. Some looked scared. Others looked curious. The group entered a big meeting room. The council members sat on one side of a long table. The humans sat on the other side. Captain Sung spoke first. "Thank you again for seeing us. I know our arrival was a shock, but we had no choice. What we have to tell you is very important." He looked at each alien seriously. "The galaxy is in great danger, and only by working together can we hope to save it." The room was silent. Every alien leaned forward, waiting to hear what the human would say next. The future of the galaxy was about to change forever. The big meeting room was very quiet. All the aliens looked at Captain Sung. They wanted to know about the danger he talked about. High Counselor Jay spoke first. Captain Sung, you said the galaxy is in great danger. What do you mean? What kind of danger? Captain Sung nodded. He looked very serious. Before I explain, let me introduce my team. This is Dr. Yun, our chief scientist. He pointed to the woman with long black hair. And this is Ambassador Kang, our diplomatic expert. He nodded to the older man with kind eyes. Dr. Yun opened her big bag. She took out a small round device and put it on the table. It lit up and showed a picture of the galaxy in the air above the table. For many years, Captain Sung said, humans have been watching the galaxy in secret. We learned your languages. We studied your technology. We knew we weren't ready to join you yet. The aliens looked surprised and a little angry. They didn't like that humans had been spying on them. But why? Asked Counselor Kim. Why did you hide from us? Ambassador Kang answered in a soft voice. We were afraid. We saw how some stronger aliens treated weaker ones. We didn't want to be treated badly. So we waited and learned. Some aliens looked ashamed when they heard this. They knew it was true. Not all species in the galaxy were kind to weaker ones. But that's not important now, said Captain Sung. He pointed to the picture of the galaxy. 6 months ago, we saw something very scary. Dr. Yun touched the device. The picture changed. Now it showed a dark space between galaxies. There were little dots of light moving in it. These are ships, Dr. Yun said. Thousands of ships. They're coming from another galaxy. And they're coming here. The aliens gasped. They had never seen so many ships before. Who are they? Asked Ja. What do they want? Captain Sung's face got very serious. We don't know who they are, but we know what they want. They want to take over our galaxy. They want to destroy anyone who fights them. The room got very noisy. Aliens were shouting and arguing. Some didn't believe the humans. Others were very scared. Quiet, please, shouted Ja. When everyone was quiet, he asked, how do you know what they want? Did you talk to them? Dr. Yun shook her head. No, we didn't talk to them. But we saw what they did to other galaxies. She touched the device again. Now it showed pictures of galaxies on fire, planets breaking apart, alien races running away in scary little ships. This is what they do, said Dr. Yun. They come to a galaxy. They destroy anyone who fights. They take all the resources. Then they move to the next galaxy. The room was very quiet now. All the aliens looked scared. But why come to us? Asked a small alien with big eyes. Why didn't you warn the big galactic groups? The Trade Federation or the Galactic Alliance? Ambassador Kang answered. We tried, but they didn't believe us. They said we were too primitive to know such things. They wouldn't listen. Captain Sung stood up. He looked at each alien in turn. We came to you because you are the Galactic Council. You represent all the races in the galaxy. You have the power to bring everyone together. Jay nodded slowly. If what you say is true, we will need everyone to work together to stop this threat. Yes, said Captain Sung. But first, you need to see all our proof. And you need to understand how we got our technology so fast. It's all connected. Dr. Yun opened her bag again. She took out more devices. We have much to show you, she said. It will take time to explain everything. Jay looked at the other council members. They all nodded. Very well, he said. Show us everything. We will listen. As Dr. Yun started to set up her devices, the aliens leaned forward. They knew they were about to learn things that would change the galaxy forever. The fate of every living thing might depend on what they learned today. The humans began their story, and the galaxy held its breath. As Dr. Yun finished showing all the proof, the room exploded with noise. Every alien was talking at once. Some were shouting. Others were crying. It was chaos. High Counselor Jay tried to calm everyone down. Please, we must stay calm, he shouted, but no one listened. A tall alien with 4 arms stood up. His name was Counselor Park. "This is all your fault," he yelled, pointing at another alien. This alien looked like a big caterpillar. Her name was Counselor Cho. "My fault," Counselor Cho said. Her many legs wiggled angrily. "How is this my fault? Your people were in charge of deep space watching," Counselor Park shouted. "You should have seen the humans. You should have seen these invaders." Counselor Cho's face turned red. "We didn't see them because we weren't looking that far. No one told us to look between galaxies." More aliens joined the argument. Everyone was blaming someone else. The room got louder and louder. Captain Sung watched all this with a worried look. He leaned over to Ambassador Kang and whispered, "This isn't going well. They're fighting each other instead of focusing on the real problem." Ambassador Kang nodded. "Yes, but it's not surprising. It's a big shock for them. They need time to accept it." Meanwhile, the arguments were getting worse. Counselor Kim, the alien with big ears, was yelling at Counselor Lee, the alien with 6 eyes. "I bet you knew about this," Counselor Kim said. "Your people have spies everywhere. You must have known the humans were watching us." Counselor Lee's 6 eyes all blinked at once. "We didn't know anything. If we did, we would have told the council." In another corner, a group of aliens were talking quietly. They looked suspicious. One of them, Counselor Ba, spoke up. "How do we know the humans are telling the truth?" he said. Everyone got quiet and looked at him. "Maybe they made up this invasion story. Maybe they just want to scare us, so we'll let them join the council." Some aliens nodded. They thought this made sense. Humans were new and strange. It was easier to think they were lying than to believe such a big danger was coming. Dr. Yun stepped forward. She looked upset. "We're not lying," she said. "Why would we make this up? We're trying to save everyone." But many aliens didn't seem to believe her. They were too scared and confused to trust these new humans. High Counselor Jay saw that things were getting out of control. He stood up and raised his hands. "Enough," he shouted. His voice was so loud that everyone stopped talking. "This fighting won't solve anything." He looked around the room. His eyes were sad but strong. "I know this is scary," he said. "I know it's easy to blame each other, but that won't help us. We need to work together." He turned to Captain Sung. "Captain, I believe you're telling the truth. But many here don't. They're scared. They need more proof." Captain Sung nodded. "I understand. What can we do to prove we're telling the truth?" Jay thought for a moment. Then he had an idea. "You said your ship has strong sensors. Sensors that can see the invaders coming. Can you connect those sensors to our systems, so we can see for ourselves?" Captain Sung smiled. "Yes, we can do that. It will take some time, but we can show you everything we've seen." Jay turned back to the council. "Is this acceptable to everyone? We'll connect the human sensors to ours. Then we can all see the proof together." The aliens looked at each other. Slowly, they started to nod. Even the suspicious ones agreed. They wanted to see for themselves. "Good," said Jay. "While that's happening, we need to start making plans. If the humans are right, we don't have much time." He looked at each person in the room. "I'm creating a special team," he said. "Humans and aliens working together. They'll study the invaders and start planning our defense." The room was quiet now. The aliens weren't fighting anymore. They were starting to understand how serious things were. As the meeting ended, everyone left with worried faces. They knew that everything was changing. The galaxy they knew might never be the same again. But a few aliens looked hopeful. Maybe, they thought, working with the humans would give them a chance to save everyone. Maybe together they could face this new danger. The future was uncertain. But at least now, they weren't facing it alone. The next day, aliens from all over the galaxy came to the council station. They wanted to see the proof the humans talked about. The main meeting room was full. Everyone was quiet, waiting. Dr. Yun stood in front of a big screen. She looked nervous but ready. "We've connected our ship's sensors to your systems," she said. "Now you'll see what we've been seeing." She pressed a button. The screen lit up. It showed a picture of empty space between galaxies. At first, nothing happened. Then, slowly, little dots of light appeared. More and more came. Soon, the screen was full of them. "These are the invader ships," Dr. Yun said. "There are thousands of them. Maybe millions. They're coming this way." The room was very quiet. Everyone stared at the screen. They couldn't believe how many ships there were. Counselor Cho, the caterpillar-like alien, spoke up. "But how do we know these are bad aliens? Maybe they're just looking for a new home." Dr. Yun shook her head. She pressed another button. The screen changed. Now it showed planets on fire. Alien cities being destroyed. It was very scary. "This is what they do to every galaxy they visit," Dr. Yun said. Her voice was sad. "They don't want to talk. They don't want to share. They just want to take everything." Now, no one could deny it. The proof was clear. The galaxy was in big trouble. High Counselor Jay stood up. "We've seen the proof," he said. "Now we must act. Captain Sung, you said Earth has strong weapons. Can you help us fight?" Captain Sung nodded. "Yes, we can help. But our weapons alone won't be enough. We need everyone to work together." Jay looked around the room. "Who will join us?" he asked. "Who will fight to save our galaxy?" At first, no one moved. Then, slowly, aliens started to stand up. More and more joined. Soon, almost everyone was standing. Jay smiled. "Good," he said. "Now we can start planning." For the next few hours, humans and aliens worked together. They made plans to build more ships. They talked about how to make stronger weapons. They decided which planets needed the most protection. Dr. Yun worked with alien scientists. They shared ideas about new technologies. Some aliens were surprised by how smart humans were. "How did you learn so much so fast?" asked an alien scientist. Dr. Yun smiled. "We had good teachers," she said. "We watched and learned from all of you." Meanwhile, Captain Sung talked with alien military leaders. He showed them how Earth ships worked. He taught them about human battle plans. "Your weapons are very strong," said an alien general. "Why didn't you use them to conquer us?" Captain Sung looked surprised. "That's not what we want," he said. "We want to be friends, not rulers. We're stronger together than apart." As the day went on, more and more aliens started to trust the humans. They saw that humans really wanted to help. But not everyone was happy. Counselor Ba, who didn't trust the humans before, was still worried. He went to talk to High Counselor Jia. "This is happening too fast," Counselor Ba said. "How do we know the humans won't turn against us once the invaders are gone?" Jay thought for a moment. "We don't know for sure," he said, "but we have to trust someone. And right now, the humans are our best hope." As the meeting ended, everyone felt different. Some were scared about the future. Others were excited about working with humans. But everyone knew that big changes were coming. Jia looked out the window at the stars. He wondered what those stars would look like when the invaders came. Would they still be there? Or would everything be destroyed? He turned back to the room full of aliens and humans working together. For the first time in days, he felt a little bit of hope. Maybe, he thought, maybe together we can win this fight. Maybe we can save our home. The galaxy was getting ready for war, but it wasn't fighting alone anymore. Humans and aliens, standing side by side, were preparing to face the biggest threat they had ever seen. The real test was still to come. Weeks passed. The galaxy was busy getting ready. Aliens and humans worked day and night. They built new ships and made stronger weapons. Everyone hoped it would be enough. One day, alarms started ringing all over the council station. High Counselor Jade ran to the control room. Captain Sung was already there, looking at a big screen. "They're here," Captain Sung said. His face was serious. "The invaders have entered our galaxy." Jay felt scared, but he tried to look brave. "How long do we have?" he asked. "Not long," Captain Sung answered. "Maybe a few hours before they reach the outer planets." Jay nodded. He pressed a button on a big table. Suddenly, faces of alien leaders appeared on screens all around the room. "It's time," Jay said to them. "The invaders are here. Get your ships ready. The battle for our galaxy begins now." All over the galaxy, ships took off. Big ships and small ships. Fast ships and strong ships. Ships from every alien world joined together in space. The human ship, Terra's Might, led the way. It was still the biggest ship in the galaxy's fleet. Other ships followed behind it. Captain Sung stood on the bridge of his ship. He looked out at all the alien ships flying with him. "I never thought I'd see this," he said softly. "The whole galaxy working together." Dr. Yun stood next to him. "Let's hope it's enough," she said. Suddenly, the space in front of them started to change. It looked like it was tearing open. Through the tear, they could see the invader ships coming. There were so many of them. They looked like a cloud of angry insects, all black and sharp. "All ships, get ready," Captain Sung shouted into his radio. "Remember your training. We can do this." The first invader ships came through the tear in space. They started shooting right away. Their weapons were strong. Some of the galaxy's ships exploded, but the galaxy ships fought back. They used all their new weapons. Lasers and energy beams flew everywhere. Space lit up with explosions. The human ship, Terra's Might, moved to the front. It had the strongest shields. It protected the smaller ships behind it. Captain Sung watched the battle on his screens. Things were not going well. The invaders had so many ships. They kept coming and coming. "We need to change our plan," he said. He called the other ship captains. "Listen, we need to attack their big ships. If we destroy those, the smaller ones might stop fighting." The alien ships agreed. They started to move, making a new formation. The big ships went to the front. The small, fast ships stayed in the back. Together, they flew straight at the biggest invader ships. It was dangerous. Many ships were hit, but they kept going. Finally, they reached the big invader ships. The battle was fierce. Explosions were everywhere. Then, something amazing happened. One of the big invader ships blew up. A cheer went up from all the galaxy ships. "It's working," shouted Dr. Yun. "Keep going." More invader ships started to explode. The smaller invader ships seemed confused. Some of them started to fly away. But the battle wasn't over. There were still many invader ships left, and the galaxy ships were getting tired. Captain Sung looked worried. "We've hurt them," he said, "but I don't know if it's enough. We need something more." Just then, a voice came over the radio. It was High Counselor Jia. "Captain Sung," he said, "we have a surprise for the invaders. Can you lead them to these coordinates?" Captain Sung looked at the coordinates. His eyes got big. "Are you sure?" he asked. "That's very close to some of our planets." "I'm sure," said Jia. "Trust me, this will work." Captain Sung nodded. He didn't know what Jay had planned, but he trusted him. He called to all the ships. "Everyone, follow me. We're going to end this fight." All the galaxy ships turned. They flew towards the coordinates Jay gave them. The invader ships followed, shooting all the way. As they flew, Captain Sung wondered what would happen next. Would Jay's plan work, or was this the last flight of the galaxy fleet? The fate of everyone hung in the balance as they raced through space. The galaxy fleet raced through space. Behind them, the invader ships followed. Lasers and explosions filled the sky. It looked like a giant fireworks show, but much more dangerous. Captain Sung watched the map on his screen. They were getting close to the spot High Counselor Jay had told them about, but he couldn't see anything special there. "What are we looking for?" he asked Dr. Yun. She shook her head. "I don't know. But look, we're almost there." Suddenly, something strange happened. A big ring appeared in space. It was huge, bigger than any ship. It started to glow with bright blue light. "What is that?" shouted Captain Sung. A voice came over the radio. It was Counselor Cho, the caterpillar-like alien. "It's a space gate," she said. "We've been building it in secret. It can move ships very far, very fast." Now Captain Sung understood the plan. "Everyone, listen." He called to all the ships. "Fly through the gate. Hurry." One by one, the galaxy ships flew into the glowing ring. As soon as they touched it, they disappeared. The invaders saw this. They started to shoot at the gate, but their shots just bounced off. Soon, all the galaxy ships were through the gate. Only Terra's might was left. "Your turn, Captain," said High Counselor Jay over the radio. "Go now." But Captain Sung had an idea. "Not yet," he said. "I'm going to make sure the invaders follow us." He turned his ship around. It flew straight at the invader fleet. The big human ship shot its strongest weapons. Many invader ships exploded. The invaders were angry now. They all started to chase Terra's might. "Now," shouted Captain Sung. His ship turned quickly and flew into the gate. Just as he hoped, the invaders followed. Ship after ship flew into the glowing ring. On the other side of the gate, Captain Sung found himself in a different part of space. All around him were the ships of the galaxy fleet, and in front of them was a huge star, bigger and brighter than any he had ever seen. The invader ships started to come through the gate, but as soon as they appeared, something strange happened. The big star started to pull them in. Their ships couldn't turn away. They flew straight into the star and disappeared. "It's a supernova," shouted Dr. Yun. "A dying star. Its gravity is too strong for their ships." Captain Sung watched in amazement. The invader fleet, which had seemed so strong and scary, was being swallowed up by the star. In just a few minutes, they were all gone. A cheer went up from every ship in the galaxy fleet. They had won. The invasion was over. Back at the council station, there was a big party. Aliens from all over the galaxy celebrated together. For the first time ever, they felt like one big family. High Counselor Jay stood up to speak. Everyone got quiet to listen. "Today, we made history," he said. "We faced the biggest threat our galaxy has ever seen. And we won, because we worked together." He turned to Captain Sung and the other humans. "And we couldn't have done it without our new friends from Earth. They warned us when no one else could. They fought beside us when we needed help." Captain Sung felt proud, but also a little shy with everyone looking at him. Joe continued, "So today, I have an important question to ask. Captain Sung, will Earth join the Galactic Council as a full member?" The room was very quiet. Everyone waited to hear what Captain Sung would say. Captain Sung smiled. "High Counselor, on behalf of Earth, we would be honored to join the Council." The room exploded with cheers and clapping. Aliens hugged each other and the humans. It was the happiest moment in galaxy history. In the days that followed, things began to change. Earth shared its technology with other worlds. Aliens visited Earth to learn and trade. The galaxy became a friendlier, more united place. There were still problems to solve and dangers to face. But now, the galaxy faced them together. Humans and aliens, working side by side, ready for whatever the universe might bring next. As Captain Sung looked out at the stars, he felt happy and excited. The galaxy was entering a new age, and Earth was a big part of it. The future looked bright, full of new adventures and discoveries, and it all started with one surprise visit from a human battleship.